Hey there, fellow gun enthusiasts. If you're like me, you've probably spent more time than you'd care to admit debating the merits of the 5.56mm NATO round. It's been the go-to for decades. Cheap, light, and everywhere. We've all got a soft spot for it, right? But lately, I've noticed a shift. Shooters are starting to ask some tough questions. Why are precision marksmen reaching for something else? Why are varmint hunters ditching the green tip for cartridges with names that sound like they belong in a sci-fi novel? And why are AK guys suddenly throwing around terms like ballistic coefficient, like they're gun nerds at a convention? Well, in this piece, we're going to dig into those questions and look at 5 cartridges that are giving the 5.56mm a run for its money. These aren't just trendy new rounds. They're purpose-built to fix the things the 5.56mm struggles with, like wind drift, energy on target, and even barrel life. We'll crunch the numbers, share some real-world stories, and help you figure out if one of these might be the upgrade your rifle's been begging for. So, if you've ever wondered how much farther, flatter, or quieter your rifle could shoot, stick around. A smarter .22 caliber might just be in your future. And, hey, if you like what you're reading, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Survival Gear Showcase. We've got more where this came from. Why the 5.56mm is losing its grip. Let's start with the elephant in the room. The 5.56mm, it's been the king of intermediate rifle cartridges for ages, and for good reason. It's cheap, it's light, and you can find it anywhere. Hell, I've got bulk packs stashed in my garage that I bought back when they cost less than a decent pizza. For plinking inside 200 yards, it's still a solid choice. But here's the thing. When you start pushing it beyond that, or when you're dealing with short barrels or windy days, it starts to show its age. Take velocity, for example. Out of a 10-inch barrel, the 5.56mm bleeds speed faster than a politician backpedaling on a promise. By the time that bullet's 50 yards down range, it's already slowing down enough that it might not fragment like it's supposed to. And fragmentation. That's the magic trick that made the 5.56mm so lethal in Vietnam. But past 150 yards, unless you're running hot loads, it just doesn't have the oomph to break apart on impact. Meanwhile, newer cartridges with fancy polymer-tipped bullets are holding their energy and staying on target way beyond that. Then there's the wind. Oh man, the wind. If you've ever tried to shoot 5.56mm at 400 yards with a 10-mile-per-hour crosswind, you know what I'm talking about. That little 55-grain bullet gets tossed around like a leaf in a storm, nearly 2 feet of drift. It's like trying to throw a paper airplane in a hurricane. Modern optics and bipods make it easier to see just how much the 5.56mm struggles in those conditions. And it's not pretty. And let's not forget the price. Remember when 5.56mm was dirt cheap? Yeah, those days are fading. Between import restrictions, panic buying, and the rising cost of copper, mil-spec loads are creeping up to 60 cents a round. Meanwhile, some of these newer cartridges are sitting pretty in the 70 cents. When you're only paying a dime more for better performance, it's hard to justify sticking with the old standby. So, what's out there that's better? Let's meet 5 cartridges that outshine the 5.56mm. These 5 cartridges aren't here to play around. Each one was designed to fix a specific problem the 5.56mm has, whether it's wind performance, downrange energy, or just plain accuracy. 224 Valkyrie. Back in 2017, Federal decided to build a round that could squeeze every last yard of accuracy out of a standard AR-15 magazine. They took the 6.8 SPC case, necked it down to .22 caliber, and loaded it with heavy 90-grain match bullets. Out of a 20-inch AR barrel, it's pushing 2,650 feet per second, and from a 24-inch bolt gun, it hits 2,730 feet per second. Now, that might not sound wild next to a 5.56mm slinging 77-grain bullets at 2,750 feet per second, but here's the kicker. The Valkyrie's ballistic coefficient is 0.563. That's like comparing a sleek sports car to a boxy SUV in a wind tunnel. At 1,000 yards, the 5.56 millimeter has dropped almost 30 feet and drifted 3 full targets in a 10-mile-per-hour crosswind. The Valkyrie? It needs 19 inches less elevation and a foot less wind hold. And the recoil? Barely noticeable. About 5 foot-pounds in an 8-pound gun, just a hair more than the 5.56 millimeter, so you're getting way better performance without beating up your shoulder. I've taken the Valkyrie out to the range a few times, and it's a game changer for long-range shooting. With a suppressor, it's even better. Sub-MOA groups with minimal gas blowback, something most short-barrel 5.56 millimeter setups can't promise. The only downside? Ammo isn't as easy to find as 5.56 millimeter, but online stocks are steady, and hand loading is straightforward. If you're into precision shooting or just want to reach out and touch something way down range, the Valkyrie's worth a look. 22 Nosler. The 22 Nosler is like strapping a booster rocket to your AR-15. Nosler took the 5.56 millimeter case, bumped up its capacity by 25%, and created a cartridge that's all about velocity. From a 24-inch barrel, a 55-grain ballistic tip screams out at 3,350 feet per second, and even from an 18-inch barrel, it's still hitting 2,900 feet per second. That's serious speed, rivaling the 22-250, but in a more compact package. Performance-wise, it leaves the 5.56 millimeter in the dust. At 400 yards, where a 5.56 millimeter drops 26 inches, the 22 Nosler's 70-grain RDF only drops 18 inches, with wind drift reduced by a third. Muzzle energy is impressive too. A 77-grain load delivers 1,486 foot-pounds, about 30% more than a heavy 5.56 millimeter match load. I've seen it take down coyotes with authority, dropping them like they've been switched off. But there's a trade-off. Recoil jumps to around 8 foot-pounds versus 5 foot-pounds for the 5.56 millimeter, so it's got a bit more kick. Barrel life holds up at about 3,000 rounds if you keep it cool, but ammo costs can sting. Match loads run $1.10 per round, though I've scored hunting loads for 55 cents on sale. If you crave speed and don't mind the extra oomph, the 22 Nosler turns your AR into a varmint annihilator. 5.45 by 39 millimeters. Next up is the 5.45 by 39 millimeters, the Soviet Union's answer to the 5.56 by 56 millimeters, designed for the AK-74. Think of it as the 5.56 by 56 millimeters stealthy cousin, lighter, quieter, and with a wicked yaw effect on impact. Its tapered case feeds flawlessly, even in a gritty AK, and the recoil is laughably low, half the momentum of a 5.56 millimeter. It feels like shooting a 22 LR, making rapid follow-ups a breeze. Energy-wise, it lags slightly behind the 5.56 millimeter inside 150 yards, but its sleek bullet design shines at longer ranges, catching up and even pulling ahead. I've plinked with it out to 300 yards, and it's surprisingly effective for an AK round. The catch: ammo is a gamble. Surplus 7N6 is history, and import bans mean you're stuck with commercial options like Barnaul or Tula at 55 cents a round, when you can find them. Reloading's a no-go with steel cases too. Still, if you love low recoil, high volume shooting and don't mind hunting for ammo, this one's a quirky gem. 222 Remington. Say hello to the 222 Remington, a precision shooter's dream that never hit the mainstream. It's not a military round and lacks the 223 hype, but it's a bench rest legend. With a slightly longer case, a generous neck, and a modest 50,000 PSI limit, it's built for consistency. From a 24-inch barrel, a 50-grain ballistic tip zips out at 3,500 feet per second, faster than most 5.56 millimeter loads with less pressure. I've shot groups with it that'd make a sniper jealous. Sub-MOA is almost a given. The downside: it's a bolt action-only cartridge, and factory rifles are scarce. A converted Remington 700 might set you back $900 to $1,100, and ammo's steep at $2.10 a round, if you can track it down. Hand loaders, though, will love its longevity. Cases can handle 10-plus firings. If you're into chasing tiny groups and don't need semi-auto firepower, the .222 is a refined classic worth the effort. 6mm ARC. Finally, we've got Hornady's 6mm ARC, Advanced Rifle Cartridge, the new kid on the block that's got everyone talking. Built off the 6.5 Grendel case, this cartridge is engineered to sling heavy for caliber bullets, like the 62-grain ELD VT or the 88-grain ELD-M, at speeds that'll make your jaw drop, 3,300 feet per second from a 24-inch barrel. That's not just fast, it's clever. With a ballistic coefficient of 3.95 for the 62-grain bullet, it slices through wind like a hot knife through butter, drifting less than a 55-grain .22-250, despite lower velocity. Long-range shooters, this is your dream come true. What makes the ARC stand out? Versatility, plain and simple. It's designed for gas guns, capped at 52,000 PSY to keep your AR's bolt in one piece. Recoil, barely more than a 5.56mm, but with a quieter muzzle blast and a barrel life stretching past 4,500 rounds, a far cry from the throat-torching .22-250. I've heard tales of hunters dropping pronghorn at 188 yards with an 80-grain ELDX, punching clean through both shoulders. That's deer-sized game power in a .22 caliber package. Pretty slick, right? Now, let's talk dollars and cents. Ammo runs $1.35 to $1.60 per round, though you can snag deals online as low as $1.07. A solid 6mm ARC upper will set you back $950 to $1,200. And if you're eyeing a bolt gun, something like the Elevation MTR starts at $3,500. It's an investment, sure, but for PRS matches or long-range hunting, it's tough to beat. If you're fed up with the 5.56mm getting pushed around by wind and want a round that hits hard without kicking like a mule, the 6mm ARC might just be your new best friend. Which cartridge reigns supreme? We've now explored 5 cartridges that each bring their own flavor to the table, all vying to dethrone the 5.56mm. So, which one's the champ? Well, that depends on what you're chasing. Here's the rundown. .224 Valkyrie, the long-range precision king. Low recoil, affordable and perfect for ringing steel at 1,000 yards. .22 Nosler, speed demon with flat trajectories. Varmint hunters, this one's got your name on it for reaching out and touching critters fast. 5.45 by 39mm. Low recoil, high fun factor. AK fans will love it if you can track down the ammo. .222 Remington, the accuracy nuts dream. Bench rest shooters and hand loaders, this classic's for you. 6mm ARs, the jack of all trades. Wind-bucking power for matches, enough oomph for medium game, and AR friendly to boot. The 5.56mm still has its place. Close quarters drills and cheap plinking are its bread and butter. But if you want to stretch your rifle's range, these alternatives fix what the NATO round can't. Ask yourself, what's my goal? Pinpoint accuracy at distance, blazing speed for varmints, low recoil range time, match the round to your mission, and you're golden. That's it, folks. We've tackled 5 cartridges shaking up the .22 caliber scene, each with its own swagger. Whether you're after precision, velocity, or just something fresh, there's a round here calling your name. So, what's your pick? Drop a comment below and let us know. And hey, if you like this, give a shout to Survival Gear Showcase, like, subscribe, and keep those barrels hot. Stay safe out there.